There we go. All right. So next I'm going to introduce Pratap Reveru. I apologize, Pratap, on the pronunciation. You'll have to correct me when you hit the stage. Who is the Director of Microgrid Solutions and Strategic Partnerships here at Schneider Electric. Pratap's qualifications include an EBA in the Essentials of Business Administration from a Schoolish School of Business and the Masters in Engineering, including Power Systems from the National Institute of Technology in India. With more than 35 years experience, including the use of power systems engineering, marketing services, and renewable energy products, business development, and project management of large projects, Pratap is a proven business leader who combines technical expertise and business knowledge to create sustainable energy solutions and maximize customer satisfaction. Pratap is certified solution architect and professional and electric utilities and energy management professional. He is also an honorary fellow at the Center of Urban Energy at Ryerson University, a registered professional engineer in the province of Ontario, and a member of the board of directors for Decentralizing Energy Canada. Pratap, you bring a wealth of experience with you today, and we are very excited to have you. So I'm going to pass it over to you. I'm going to make you the host, so you can take over the screen, as it were.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pratap Reveru, Director, Microgrid Solutions and Strategic Partnerships. And first of all, I would like to thank Rethink Green organization to welcome Schneider Electric. Firstly, I hope you're all doing well in this very special time, and I wish you all a healthy new year. Today, I'm going to talk about sustainability, efficiency, and resiliency, where we all have to step up, innovate, and co-create green economy and clean energy in Canada. In fact, everyone talked about how we have to do the clean energy and also reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Now, we can say that, let me move this. So at this time, everyone is speaking about COVID-19 and the associated recession. Of course, COVID-19 is changing the course of our lives. But the first thing is, it has done, and it has made us to realize how susceptible we are to natural phenomena. So, but the fundamental priorities have not changed. And we know that behind the wave of COVID-19 is a huge tsunami coming, that is the climate change. And we have to address for that. So what we want to do now is actually how we can actually address this. So at Schneider, we have not lost the sight of our purpose. And our purpose is very simple. It is to empower all to make the most of our energy and resources. We believe that technology allows us to bridge the progress and sustainability for all. At Schneider, we call this life is on. One side, we have to bring energy to all the people that still do not have access to it, because we believe access to electricity is a basic human right. We are estimating around 1.3 billion people do not have access to this electricity. And at the same time, we have to make sure that the footprint of the energy and resources, that is the carbon footprint, to be divided by 2 in the next coming 20 years. So in 2 decades, we need to cut half of the emissions what we have today. So the challenge is our generation, is probably climate. So we need to think of how we can actually address this. And there is a common good news, that is, we are the generation, probably the only generation, that can change the trajectory of carbon emissions and therefore climate change. At Schneider Electric, we are an active corporation organization. We have a responsibility to act about that. That is why we join the UN-led initiatives that regroup other corporations like us. So I've been working for Schneider Electric around 30 years and another organization around 7 years. So the purpose of the company and the very activist approach that Schneider Electric is taking. So this organization makes me very proud of working for such a company. So we have two things. One is actually the sustainability, and the other one is the resiliency and the greenhouse gas reductions. So we see the sustainability at Schneider as something very holistic. First, we decided to act on and took these commitments. One is actually carbon neutral by 2025 on our operations, and also on carbon neutral on the full supply chain by 2040. So what does electric bring? Well, it contributes to build a green future. So we can think about solar energy. We can think about microgrids. We can think about net zero buildings. We can also think about electric vehicles. In fact, you will see more details on EV and electric vehicles in the next presentation by Tyler Seed. There is a movement around us that will not stop. So electricity is very efficient energy that we believe to be the greatest vector of decarbonization. So when we see the future that is going to be digital and also electric, and that will make our environment smart and green. So what we believe, world is becoming more electric and also digital. So while the past was built on diesel and other fossil fuels, the future is to harness the abundant renewable energy around us. Renewable energy like sun, wind, water, biomass, and to create electric and green energy that will contribute the development of the buildings, communities, and cities, as you can see in the picture. But to be able to support sustainable growth and development of the communities, we will need to be extremely efficient in the use of the energy. I would like to suggest that the future is to think about the possibility to have the buildings and the communities to be able to produce their own energy, and why not, if it is possible, to give back to the grid. So by doing it, we'll be able to share what we have produced in communities, and also this will push green energy and enable SDG 7, which is Sustainable Development Goal, which is affordable and clean energy. So now you will tell me that the concept of having sustainable, resilient buildings and communities and cities is complex and not easy to install. So this is where I would like to introduce the solutions. So what I would like to show is the Internet of Things platform and technology bricks to make it simple and accessible. You can observe microgrid technology layers. So the bottom layer is connected products. The middle layer is the edge control. and the top layer is apps, analytics, and services, which in Schneider we call it as EcoStructure. So EcoStructure is open, interoperable, IoT-enabled system, and it is a platform, which means EcoStructure delivers enhanced value around safety, reliability, efficiency, and sustainability and connectivity. And also you can observe in each layer a time to respond to each of the situation. So the bottom layer is in milliseconds, the middle layer is in seconds, and the top layer is in minutes. And also you can see in each layer, there is a small arrow between layer 1 to layer 2, and layer 2 to layer 3, and also layer 1 to layer 3, which means it is actually communicating between the bottom layer to the middle and middle to the top layer, and also top layer to the bottom layer. So you can observe these things are having different communication possibilities. And also you can observe in the connected products, distributed energy resources, storage, medium voltage, low voltage, electrical equipment, integration equipment, and also metering. In the edge control layer, you can see EcoStructure microgrid operation for large sites. And also you can see the complex, these are the actually, developed for complex systems. And also you can see that there is a fuel saver EcoStructure microgrid operation, which is actually designed to reduce diesel consumption in communities. You can also see a small and medium buildings EcoStructure microgrid operation, which is a solution for buildings. And in the top layer, you can also see energy optimization and economic dispatch, which we call it as EcoStructure microgrid advisor. So why we are actually bringing all these things, as Simon said, everything doesn't fit to each sort of a community. So we are bringing different type of solutions so that we can fit to that depending on the customer need. And also you can see that we have two type of service offers. One is actually on project qualification study, which means actually it will assess financial viability, and the other study, which is called feasibility study, which will assess the technical viability. So which means we will perform these number of services so that actually you can actually bring the project to life. So you can see also when it comes to, so this is exactly the innovation we have been working on, having in mind to answer these type of questions, how we can actually bring the system much more simple and easy to install, easy to commission. So this is where the simplicity has been done. It has been created an energy ecosystem for a building of the future or community of the future. So you can see that a building or a community that can be net zero and resilient. So here you can see that sort of everything what you can see in this building is self-generating, and also it is able to manage the building load by itself. So this is the work which we have done. We have put the puzzle solution into a sort of a like a electrical distribution control system to build the energy ecosystem. So what it means is very simple, as you can see in the screen. Very pleased to share this energy control center. As you will discover, it is very innovative offer. It looks very much like a typical electrical switchboard you will find in most of the buildings across the country. But this one is the special. This is an industrial solution, fully compliant with the Canadian Electrical Code and also standards, that can be ordered from a catalog. Inside ECC, you have a tested, validated microgrid solution, which is actually designed out of the box. We call inside Schneider microgrid in a box. So out of the box, you have an advanced MG application ready to operate, fully available control system within the box. I just want to give you a little bit inside what it is. So you can see inside the box, you have the ability to connect number of distributed energy resources. As you can see, either it can be wind, it can be solar, it can be battery. And then on the middle layer, what we call power management system, which is actually to manage the grid stability and also local control. And also it can connect actually to the loads. And the top layer, which is called energy management system, which is analytical, which is actually with the AI, and also it is with the machine learning. It will interface with the external system, energy market price, demand response, and also number of weather events. And so out of this box, it will be very resilient, and also you can predict, and also you can enable the possibility to share the energy between the communities, between the buildings. The results are very much, very significant, because we have done this in a few places. So you can see that around 30% of the total project cost you can actually reduce. We can also think of a typical electrical distribution equipment with a PLC based design solution, so that you can see the comparison. More important is actually the technical risk and also financial risk you can actually minimize and you can mitigate. So what we can see is also, this is all can be done with a number of things. So you can say that there is a smart technology we need to bring when we want to actually bring a building intelligent. So building management systems enable you to monitor, control, and optimize your building performance, and also throughout its life cycle. So customer expectations are changing, because we want to be more greener, we want to be more clean energy generation. So smart building management system will seamlessly, it will interconnect with the number of sensors and also IoT devices. So capability of data exchange, this is the most important thing which we need to think of. Now that we have many systems, many sensors, many IoT devices in our systems, in our buildings, in our communities, we need to think of seamless data exchange, and that is the possibility in this EcoStruxure platform. We are all well positioned to develop end-to-end solution, and we also this platform is open platform. Any third-party system we can actually integrate. I just want to give you a brief introduction about Schneider Electric. So Schneider Electric is growing technology company, providing energy and automation solutions for efficiency as well as sustainability. We are the most local of global companies. So we are around 135,000 employees in over 100 countries, but every country will have its own local organization, and that's where actually we will support local necessities and local customers. And you can also see that we are regionally very balanced, and we work in Asia Pacific, we work in North America, we work also in Europe, and also in rest of the world. And we are getting more and more sort of business out of digital as well as about sustainable. Almost 50% of the revenues is coming actually from digitization, that is connected products, edge controls, and analytics and software. And we can also say that we actually secured that Corporate Knights actually announced that Schneider Electric ranked the world's most suitable corporation in 2021. So this #1 out of more than 80,000 corporations assessed in 2021 by Global 100. And we actually jump from 29th place in 2020 to #1 position. And that has been just announced today. So the time to act is now, not anymore a problem of technology. I'm very optimistic that together we can actually develop greener as well as clean energy. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you so much, Pratap. We will be doing a full question piece at the end. I know there's a lot of questions over that great presentation. A lot of great visuals, a lot of great learning. Thank you so much for sharing that, Pratap. Quick question in the chat. Some folks are having some trouble getting access to the REAP. Just refresh your website, guys. We uploaded them all this morning to the REAP website, to smartgreencommunities.ca. So if you're having some trouble, just reload, refresh, and it'll be there. But if you continue to have trouble, send us an email at info@rethinkgreen.ca and we'll send you a link. But it should all be up. Should be good to go. Perfect. So next, I am going to hand things over to Tyler. Now, Tyler Seed is a business development analyst at Ontario Power Generation. Tyler holds a master's degree in sustainable development from Blekinge Institute. Tyler, you're going to have to correct me on that after. Technology in Karlskrona, Sweden, and a Bachelor of Humanities degree from Carleton University. Prior to joining OPG and its electrification development team in 2018, Tyler was a director of communications for Natural Step Canada, a national environmental not-for-profit organization. In recent years, Tyler has been a key player when it comes to partnering with site hosts and securing funding opportunities for the expansion of the IV charging network. That's something I think we're very, very excited to hear about today. And it's Ontario's largest, most connected EV fast charging network. Tyler continues to engage transit agencies across Ontario regarding the electrification of their fleets and is working on several exciting projects and initiatives, including a school bus vehicle to grid pilot, which I never thought I'd see in a very long time. So I'm pretty excited to hear about that. Tyler, I'm going to make you the host. Don't forget to unmute yourself, and we'll get just have you share your screen.
You can hear me, you can see me. Great. Okay, yeah. So thank you very much, Rethink Green, for having me here today. I know some of these web calls can get a little bit antsy during them, so I'm gonna keep moving pretty quickly through this. Just a little question for everybody here off the top. Have you heard that next year Apple plans to release an electric car? That's right. I'm just wondering if it'll have windows. Aha. It is challenging to tell those jokes into a Zoom call when everybody's on mute, I'll have you know. But my name is Tyler Seed, and as mentioned, I work for Ontario Power Generation. Side note, although I live in Toronto now, I grew up in Red Rock along the north shore of Lake Superior, just outside Thunder Bay. So I am familiar with the north. I am going to quickly outline who Ontario Power Generation is and why we're interested in electrification and some of the initiatives that might be of interest to the people on the call, but also happy to field any questions on things I don't get to. So very quickly, Ontario Power Generation is Ontario's largest electricity generator, which means we make the electricity at our nuclear power plants near Pickering and Darlington here in southern Ontario. We've got hydroelectric dams across the province and own a number of other assets, including some gas generation and some solar. We are involved in a number of innovative electricity projects, including a full microgrid at Gull Bay, just north of Nipigon, at the Nanticoke Solar Project, and a number of other battery storage related projects. But what I spend most of my time working on is electrification. And When I use the term electrification, what I mean is the process of replacing technology that runs on other fuels like gas, diesel, with technology that runs on electricity. So our electrification group at OPG was established in 2017 to accelerate this process here in Ontario. And I'll get into some examples of that. Obviously, using more electricity is good for a company like OPG that makes electricity, but also, and more specifically, we are interested in investing in energy assets where we can increase off-peak load growth, and I'll talk about the benefits of off-peak load growth, where we can reduce GHG emissions and demonstrate energy leadership, and also where we can frankly realize a commercial return. A few examples of those projects are the Toronto Transit Commission electric bus charging infrastructure. I'll talk about that a little later. The IV fast charging network, which I will talk about in a moment, and the electrification of some ferries near Kingston. So that boat in the bottom there is an electric ferry, and OPG is going to design, build, operate batteries and chargers that keep those ferries moving. So, as I mentioned, electrification means replacing other sources of energy, like fossil fuels, with electricity. And that means using more electricity, which of course is good for OPG's bottom line. But in the longer term, boosting electricity demand is also good for, as I said, increasing load growth. And that can actually have a downward effect on the price of electricity in the province, because most of the price of our electricity is based on fixed costs. And if we can spread those fixed costs across more kilowatt hours of electricity consumed, then we can actually reduce the price of that electricity. In the absence of electric vehicles, we don't expect much demand growth in the next 20 years, but with electric vehicles, it could be significant, as you can see here. And I just thought this was an interesting way of looking at things. I'm talking about increasing electricity demand, but in a way, this is actually an energy conservation initiative. Because electric technologies are so much more efficient than those that run on fossil fuels, although you're increasing your use of electricity, you're dramatically decreasing your use of overall energy by replacing liquid fuels with electricity. You can see that here. I can speak to that more if anybody has any questions about it later. And it seems increasingly fair to expect that the electrification revolution in transportation is going to happen pretty quickly. So these are just a few projections that we have at OPG, created by the Electric Power Research Institute. But we expect to see dramatic increases in electrification over the next 20 to 30 years. And of course, we're interested in seeing that happen as quickly as possible. Battery costs are falling, EV sales are increasing rapidly aside from, of course, the past year, and we expect to see these things continue. So how about emissions? It's no secret that the current government of Ontario is very focused on electricity rates and even more so than on combating climate change, perhaps. But our message is basically that what if I told you can reduce electricity rates, as I've spoken about, and you can reduce emissions at the same time? So looking at that bar graph there, the red bar is transportation emissions. And that actually represents about 35% of all the emissions in the province. Meanwhile, the green bar represents only about 3%, and that's from electricity generation. Because between 2005 and 2015, Ontario reduced the carbon intensity in the electricity system by about 82%. So our electricity system right now is one of the cleanest in the world, and we should be taking advantage of that. Meanwhile, transportation sector is the largest emitter of GHGs. And at Ontario Power Generation, we just recently launched our climate change strategy. where we have two big goals. The first one is to be a net zero carbon company by 2040. And the second one is to be a catalyst and really help the rest of the province reach net zero carbon by 2050. So how are we doing that? The Ivy Charging Network is the first one to mention here. So it's a partnership between Ontario Power Generation and Hydro One. Our vision here with Ivy is to enable Ontarians to charge no matter where they are, no matter where they plug in, whether it's at home, at work, or on the road. We plan to offer on-the-go fast charging along major highways and urban areas across the province, level 2 destination charging at public places, think town centers, transit hubs, shopping malls, and single-family home charging, where we can provide charging via subscription and demand management. And home is where over 75% of the charging actually takes place. So this particular map here is perhaps a little bit out of date, but it gives you a sense of the scope of where we plan to install our first batch of fast chargers across the province. And I'm going to show you another map in a second here, but here are some of the benefits of the Ivy Charging Network to the province. We're helping to stimulate economic development where the chargers are being installed by using local installers. We're employing local businesses for logistics, engineering, design, construction, electrical work. And as I said, we're putting downward pressure on rates by spreading the fixed costs of the system across more load. Some of the emissions reductions numbers down there, you can see that we expect to reduce emissions through the Ivy Charging Network by about 70 tons per year, and that's just the fast chargers, and increase load growth and create some construction jobs as well. This map shows where we're at currently in terms of the build out. So you can see that all of the green dots are completed locations of EV fast chargers. That's level 3 or DC fast chargers, 50 kilowatts or faster across the province. And you can see that a lot of them are in the north broadly. And if you go to ivycharge.com, there's an interactive map there where you can zoom in and see exactly where those are. It's ivycharge.com. And just to give you a flavor of what some of those actual sites look like, here are a few photos. This is actually the Sudbury site. It's just off Kingsway and Silver Hills Drive, near a Source for Sports. There's a Costco there, I believe. And all of our chargers, one of the big things that we've looked at when we are building these out is that they need to be located near amenities. So washrooms, coffee, restaurants, somewhere where, you know, if you're gonna be there for longer than 20 minutes or something, you've got somewhere to go inside. Here we've got the Blind River station. So you can see that's right beside a Tim Hortons, and that's just off the Trans-Canada. I think it's near the municipal office in Blind River. And there's a site in London with one of our fast chargers, just off the 401. There's a McDonald's across the street, and I think there's a Costco there as well. So those are the level 3 fast chargers. You can see in this table here. But Ivy is also interested, as I mentioned, in destination charging, which is typically level 2 chargers. And so these chargers they're not inferior to level 3 or DC fast chargers. It's just a different use case. So a level 3 fast charger like that costs a significant amount of money to install and to operate. And it's typically going to be used on a major thoroughfare, somewhere where people need to stop quickly and get as fast a charge as possible and get back on the road. Whereas a level 2 charger is typically installed somewhere where somebody might be spending a little bit more time. So think like a downtown of a small community, or hockey arena, municipal centers, that sort of thing. And these are sort of a lighter footprint that can be tied directly into the into the building's electrical panel as well. Whereas with a level 3 fast charger, you need to set up a whole new service and all of that. And just really quickly here, if this is something that you're interested, feel free to reach out after the call. But one of the offerings that Ivy has right now for level 2 charging is basically what we call a charging as a service. So there's no upfront cost. Ivy takes the entire upfront investment and charges you an annual fee by which it recovers its costs over, say, a 10-year period, and it basically provides a turnkey service and takes the risk and the headache off of the site host. And if you have any questions about that, I can speak to that in more detail. Moving on to fleet electrification, which is where I spend more of my time these days. One thing worth noting here is that while fleets may represent, a really small small percentage of the number of vehicles in Ontario, they are responsible for an outsized portion of the GHG emissions. So if we can electrify those fleet vehicles, we can actually take a big cut out of the emissions in the province. And that's why, Ivy's focused on the light duty, the personal cars, and OPG proper is focused on the fleet charging, the heavy duty stuff. And on that note, TTC, Toronto Transit Commission, and OPG are partnering to electrify transit in the city of Toronto. So OPG will be designing, building, operating, and maintaining all on-site electrical infrastructure for the TTC's fleet of buses. And we're talking about 2,400 buses eventually, 8 garages, major electrical demand at each of those garages, and a lot of battery storage and backup power generation. So this is a massive undertaking that we're really just getting started on right now. But beyond just the TTC work, we want to expand this approach to the rest of the province as well. So, we're already setting up systems to procure all of the necessary infrastructure to build that TTC electrification. We can expand this to help other transit agencies across the province do so as well. And, we can do things like secure volume procurement discounts. We can take the lessons that we're learning on some of our projects that are a little further along, and we can apply them to some of the smaller transit electrification projects. And we just believe there are a lot of benefits to doing it in sort of a collective approach like this. So there are a number of other projects that we have on the go, and happy to speak to them as people are interested, but I thought those were the most relevant ones for the group today. And with that, I will turn it back over.
Thank you so much, Tyler, for that. We really appreciate that. A lot of exciting things happening both in electrification of our communities and electrification of vehicle fleets across Ontario. I know when I was able to travel with Angela and Simon, as we were talking to different communities about the REAP process, electrification was a topic that came up frequently, both of microgrid communities and in the fleet sector. So having both of you here today to talk about some advances and possibilities really falls in line with a lot of what we've heard a lot of communities asking for within regards to electrification. So we absolutely appreciate that for sure. Quick mention, we want to thank our presenters. You will be receiving a gift in the mail. It is a certificate from Fresh City. It's a local and organically grown, locally sourced grocery store. So, it's harder to give speaker gifts in sort of an online setting. So, we're being creative. So they'll be respective to your community. So I really appreciate you guys coming and speaking with us today. And we look forward to more work with you and more presentations from both of you. So thank you so much. All right, everybody. So if you do want to rewatch this afternoon again, we will be making it available. The video will be available online as well. I will fix some of those audio issues in there. And of course, if anyone is looking for the presentations from the speakers today, let us know. Send an email to info@rethinkgreen.ca and we'll make sure we get that to you. Otherwise, we'll take a look at the RSVP list. And finally, one more special thanks to our amazing sponsors, FCM, IESO, and the Environmental Defense Without you guys, this wouldn't have been possible, and we're looking forward to the future. So everyone have a fantastic day. Stay safe out there and always stay sustainable. Take care, guys.